Kia ora and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon and we are here to talk about more Necromunda. Of course, this time we're talking about squats again. Now, what are squats, you wonder? Well, if you go onto the Warhammer community website, in fact, about a month ago actually, just dialing it back a bit, we had some models released at the Warhammer Fest event, I believe. And these were for the squat prospecting gangs that are now going to be coming out in the next Necromunda Ash Wastes expansion book, hardback sort of jobby, where we'll get the rules for Ash Waste men themselves, and of course these new squat mining gangs. Now, I got really excited about these guys. Did a video just on the look and appearance of them, but I just noticed when I went back onto the Warhammer community website today while I was on my lunch break, I got even more excited when I saw that some of the rules for the new squat gang have been leaked, so to speak. Well, not leaked, but they've given us a teaser as to what to expect with these squat prospecting gangs. So, to begin things off, I'm just gonna put all the photos of what's been revealed today in this video, but I'm just going to read through what they've put in the actual article itself. There's some really cool stuff in here, some cool fluff as well. Anyway, here's what the article reads. Buckle your seatbelts and strap into your mining rigs. The Ironhead squat prospectors are coming to Necromunda. This gang of abhuman assayers are short, grumpy, and toting enough finely tuned firepower to make a Van Saar wince. I definitely agree with that when we're going to look at the weapon stats in a minute. Let's clear one thing up. Unlike the Leagues of Votan, these guys are called squats. They came to Necromunda as a clean-up crew in the wake of the Horus Heresy, and they've been here ever since. What can we say? The heresy needed a lot of cleaning up. In the millennia since, the Ironhead mining clans have had minimal contact with their cousins in the galactic core. While they might lack the truly prodigious weapons technology of the Leagues, or their helpful robot partners, the artisanal armaments of the mining clans still pack quite a punch, especially in comparison with the rest of the scavenged junk most underhivers think of as guns. No one knows quite how many squats make their home on Necromunda. There are dozens of clans living a semi-nomadic life in great land trains, striking out across the ash wastes in search of valuable debris left by millennia of industry. These great crawling cities will plunder a dig site for months or years until its riches are depleted, while gangs of Ironhead squat prospectors guard the excavation sites or set off into the wastes in search of further loot. Needless to say, they don't take kindly to ambushes. So some really cool fluff there to match these awesome looking models. I know that views and opinions on these models have been incredibly split. They seem like they're Marmite to a lot of people. You'll either love them or hate them. Personally, I don't like the paint jobs on these miniatures myself, but I usually say that about all of the Games Workshop stuff because the heavy metal style is not for me and never has been. I'm much more of a grimdark sort of Blanchitsu enthusiast myself, but I'm not knocking it and saying that they're bad paint jobs. They're far better than anything I can do. However, it's just not my style personally. So I'm really looking forward to getting hold of these guys and making them really filthy and nasty and rusty and grimy and horrible. Anyway, so moving on a little bit. Yeah, we've talked about the aesthetic of these guys. They look really cool. I made a few sort of guesses as to what their weapons were in the last video I did. And I made the bold statement that I believe that the double-barreled weapons in general are going to be extra rapid-fire dice when it comes to auto weapons and bolt weapons. And it looks like I might have been correct. Now, a lot of people just dismissed that when I said it, but it looks like I may have been correct, certainly with the bolt guns. But we're going to get into that in a minute. First, I'm just going to go through this new Charter Master, which we have. Now, this has been confirmed as the leader of the squat gang. I'll just read the little blurb that's underneath this guy first. These parties, the squat parties, of course, are led by charter masters, squats with centuries of experience and all the accompanying obduracy. These canny old prospectors have leadership, brawn and shooting as their primary skills and can access wisdom of the ancients as a secondary. So a new skill set there for squats, obviously mentioned. And while they might be a little sluggish compared to fleet-footed ash-waste nomads, they have access to some of the finest weaponry on the planet. So yeah, looking at this guy in the picture there, he just looks awesome, doesn't he? Those closed-in helmets for me are just awesome. But the real thing that we need to talk about, and there actually are quite a few things that we need to talk about. We're going to go through the stat line here, the cost, the skills access here, and just highlight a few things that I'm really surprised by actually, and really excited by as well. Now, of course, this is your leader, so naturally he's going to be quite a high credit cost. This guy in particular is 115 credits, which is not too bad when you look at his stats generally, actually. If you compare him to a few other leaders, the leader that sort of stands out the most as a sort of comparable sort of option, I suppose, is maybe the Orlok road captain. But there are a few key differences here as well. But I'm just looking at the 3 wounds here, but we'll go through it systematically now. The thing that strikes me the most here, and the thing that I was concerned about, to say the least, as I have played a squat Venator gang with movement 3 across the board, and it was fucking terrible. This guy actually has movement 4. So that is a big thing, because movement 3 was almost unplayable. And movement 4 is still quite bad, but makes them suddenly actually playable, because Goliaths, Gene Stealer Cult, all have movement 4. And yes, it has its downsides because it's below average in terms of movement, but suddenly squats are now looking like they might be a real playable faction. I think to be honest, I think it's a good choice. I think if they'd have stuck with the movement 3, it just would have been dreadful. You would have been just a gun platform that hardly moves, and there's no fun playing that. So these guys have got movement 4. Well, at least the leader has. We haven't got any stats here for the gangers, but I'm assuming that they're all going to be movement 4 across the board, which I'm okay with. I think that's going to make the gang much more fun to play, and it's not just going to end up being purely fluff and no fun to play. So that's that. In terms of weapon skill and ballistic skill, we've got 3 ups on both, which is kind of typical for any leader, I would suppose. Most leaders are going to have weapon skill, ballistic skill 3 up, generally speaking, unless we're looking at some of the lesser leaders. But that's a pretty good, solid close combat and shooting profile there. We've then got strength 3, which is average, of course, but toughness 4, which is lovely. So having toughness 4 makes a big difference in this game, especially with the abundance of strength 3 weapons like las guns, auto guns, etc. All of a sudden having to wound you on 5s instead of 4s makes it a lot harder to take you down. And if you're used to playing Goliaths or Ogryns, you'll know that it's pretty favourable playing against those strength 3 weapons generally. Now, to add to that, of course, just going back on it, wounds 3. Now that is fantastic. From going from 2 wounds on your average typical leader to 3 wounds, and matching the Orlok leader here, is fantastic. Wounds, like I've said before, are quite a high XP cost in game during campaign. I think they're 12 or 13 XP to increase your wounds or attacks statistics. So that is fantastic, and obviously, it's 115 credits for this guy, so he's certainly not cheap. But 3 wounds and a toughness of 4 with very good weapon skill and ballistic skill is excellent. We then have 2 attacks, which is standard for your leader or champion, generally speaking. But the thing that really stands out here, and the thing that I love about this, is the insanely high mental stats. Now we're looking at leadership 5+, a cool of 5+, willpower of 5+, and an intelligence of 6+. So excellent leadership, excellent cool, excellent willpower, excellent intelligence. I love those stats. I tend to always favour leaders with high mental stats. Of course, cool is probably the most important one out of those 4 stats, because that's the stat that you're going to use for your bottle checks, for breaking, things like that. And having a cool of 5+ is excellent. So those are the stats that are available for your Charter Master. Now, it does sort of stay underneath that. Going back, we have leadership, we have brawn, and we have shooting as the primary skills. So Really, really interesting, and the first gang in the game so far to have a combination of shooting and brawn. So I really like that. Of course, brawn is a suboptimal skill set in general. Brawn skills are not that great, but there are some good ones in there. I particularly like Crushing Blow and Ball Charge, and those can be very handy for these squats, I imagine, at a pinch. But I would say, judging by the looks of it, and judging by the stats that I'm going to read you out in a minute for some of the weapons, they are definitely going to be slightly more of a shooty gang than they are a fighty gang. So I imagine you're probably going to want to use the shooting skills more often than not. It does also say that they have leadership skills there, but leadership skills on a guy with insanely good cool and leadership, etc. here aren't going to be quite as important, I don't think, but you do have other leadership skills that you could use too on this guy. But I would say shooting skills are going to be the sort of choice there. And it also says, of course, that you get secondary, which, as we know, if you've played Necromunda in a campaign, secondary skills are quite hard to come by, often not worth it, and usually nearly always random. So getting secondary skills is not the one generally, but these, just having mentioned a skill set called Wisdom of the Ancients sounds really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what those skills are. Of course, none of them have been highlighted in this article, so we have no idea what they're going to be, but I imagine they'll be really, really cool, unique skills for these squat prospectors here. So, moving on now, that is your Charter Master Leader, but I'm now going to go through some of the new weapon stats that we've got here. And I think you'll agree with me, some of these are very, very exciting, but some of them are also incredibly, incredibly scary. And none of them are bad either, I don't think. But first up, of course, is the Ironhead Bolt Gun. Now, this is 95 credits. I imagine, it doesn't say whether these are basic or special weapons, but I imagine this is a basic weapon, seeing as it looks like it features on most of the models in the Dwarf Prospecting gang box, by the looks of it. Now, this is the double-barreled bolt gun that I was talking about in an earlier video. I hate to gloat, but I was right. It is rapid fire too. So, of course, 95 credits is a lot more than your 55 credit bolt gun. However, it is rapid fire too, meaning that you can potentially get off 6 damage 2, -1 AP, strength 4 hits with a +1 short range of 12 inches. Now, the stat profile itself is exactly the same as a bolt gun, I believe. We've got a 12-inch short range, +1 to hit, 24-inch long range, strength 4, -1 AP, 2 damage, and a 6-up ammo. So I think that's the same as your normal bolt gun. However, we have rapid fire too. So you might suddenly go, oh, you know what? That's a storm bolter. Now, of course, it is a storm bolter. It's just got a funny name. It's called the Ironhead Bolt Gun. Now, my overall thought on this is that, sure, it's got much higher damage output than a bolt gun, but having 2 rapid fire dice and a 6-up ammo does mean that you're far more likely to go out of ammo earlier on in the game. Because those ammo symbols on your dice, if you're rolling two dice, you're much more likely to get one of them, and you're pretty likely to run out of ammo on a bolt gun in general with a 6-up ammo. So for 95 credits, and you might only use it once in a game, it's quite a lot, but it's pretty cool. And again, if you don't get access to regular bolt guns and this is your only option, then maybe 1 or 2 of these in your list is going to be great. However, 95 credits, that is a lot. I have no idea how expensive the squat gangers are going to be. I imagine they'll be quite expensive. They look like they've got very, very durable armor, and toughness 4, etc. is going to cost a fair bit in terms of credits, I'd say. Anyway, so that's the Ironhead Bolt Gun. So moving on, we then have the Ironhead Hand Flamer. Now this is 85 credits, so it's 10 credits more than a regular Hand Flamer. It's the same template, it's strength 3, it's got no AP, it's damage 1, and it's a 5-up ammo. So very similar to your regular hand flamer. However, what it says here in the picture, as you can see, is it says Blaze, Firestorm, and Template. Now Firestorm isn't a weapon trait that I'm aware of. Now there is a type of ammo for a combat shotgun called Firestorm, and that just has Blaze and the template. And maybe Scattershot or something. So I'm not really sure what it means here. It's got a 1 in brackets, so I'm assuming that that actually means maybe Scattershot with Blaze, which is really, really, really nice. So yeah, I mean, 85 credits, if that is indeed scattershot, then I'd say that that extra 10 credits is definitely worth it on the regular hand flamer profile, just because it means, I mean, if you're strength 3 and if you are getting, you know, a D6 amount of shots, if that indeed is what it means, that's pretty potent, even though there is no AP on there. But very, very nice, particularly with a template weapon. Scattershot on templates is just really, really lovely. So there you go. Now, a couple more weapons we've got here. We have got the Iron Head Melter Gun. Now, melter guns are terrifying in general, and this one is extra terrifying. So, you ready for this one? It's 155 credits, so of course it is incredibly expensive. However, we have a short range of 6, a long range of 12, +1 at short range, strength 8, -4 AP, which is pretty much going through anything, like carapace armor, whatever. Damage 3, which is killing nearly everything, and an ammo of 5 up. And here are the traits. So we do have the melter trait, which means that, you know, at short range, if you wound stuff, it generally just takes it out of action automatically. Then we have rapid fire 1. So a rapid fire melter gun, very, very nasty. So on average, you're looking at shooting two strength 8 -4 damage 3 hits, I would say. And if you're lucky enough to get 3 off, then whatever you hit with this, you know, ambots, ogrins, whatever, it's just going to get killed. So yeah, really, really, really nasty. Of course, it is scarce, just like your regular melter gun. So if you do run out of ammo, that's it for the game. However, whatever you hit with this, you are most definitely killing. Unless, of course, you just roll 1s all the time, which happens all the time to me. But there you go. Just underneath that picture, it does say on the article, yes, that's right, a melter gun with rapid fire. There's more where that came from, and none of it's nice unless you're a squat. You can even wield some weapons hands-free, mounted on your snazzy power pack. So, power packs. Now, it doesn't say what power packs are exactly. However, it looks like, and I imagine that they kind of operate something like a third arm for a Gene Stealer cultist. I think they're going to give you an extra sort of sidearm attack or an extra weapon slot perhaps over your shoulder, which can be used in close combat or maybe at versatile range, or even at range, I suppose. Now they've given us 3 profiles here for different weapons that can be used with your power pack. The first one is the Stone Burner. So the Stone Burner is 70 credits. It's got a 2 to 4 inch short and long range respectively, so more of a versatile weapon, this one. It's strength 5, -2 AP, 2 damage and a 5 up ammo. And this also has the melter trait. It's also scarce. It has the power pack keyword, so we'll see what that does. And it also has sidearm, of course, as well. So you can use this in combat. It's pretty nice. Interesting. So I really like this. 70 credits, again, is very, very expensive, but it does have that all-important melter trait. So if you're in close combat, or if the 2 inch short range, you're kicking in that melter trait and you're just killing stuff straight away. However, at 4 inches away, strength 5, wounding most things on 3s, at -2 AP with 2 damage is also very tasty. So not bad at all. We'll see what the power pack does with the sidearm, whether you just get that one. I don't know. I'm not sure how the mechanics are going to work with this, but 70 credits is certainly on the expensive side of stuff again. So there we have it. There are 2 other profiles that we've got with the power pack here though, and I'll just go through those quickly with you. The first one is the Gem Extractor, which sounds pretty cool, very dwarf-like. This one's a lot cheaper, so this one's 50 credits. Still very expensive. Certainly not a reclaimed auto gun, but this is engagement range. So this is only close combat. It's strength +1, -1 AP, but 2 damage, which is really nice. So it looks almost like a sort of, I suppose, a sort of power maul of some kind, maybe just without the power trait. But it's melee and power pack are its traits there. So pretty nice, but I wouldn't think that it was worth 50 credits at all. I would personally just take a power, I don't know, maybe even just a heavy club or something, which is also damage 2 and strength +1, but gives you concussion. Stuff like that. There are better close combat options than this for 50 credits, that's for sure. And the last one, of course, is the Iron Head Arc Welder. Now this one is 100 credits, so double the last one. And this one is, of course, yep, it's engagement, so there's no versatile range on this, but this one's strength +2, -2 AP and 3 damage with blaze. So this one's pretty nice. Similar to the Arc Welder that you can get with, you know, Ogrins and stuff, I suppose, but this one is, of course, on your power pack. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. But yeah, strength +2 is nice, taking your average guy to strength 5, wounding most things on a 3, even Goliaths, with -2 AP and 3 damage and blaze. So if you don't kill them, you've got a high chance of setting them on fire as well. So very, very nice there. So the rest of the blurb below this, we've got: the Charter Masters are ably supported by Drill Masters, champions who keep the rest of the squats in line. These guys prefer to work at range and have access to similarly deluxe armory plus primary access to Wisdom of the Ancients. So just to look at that quickly, the Wisdom of the Ancients skill list, by the looks of it, is available to champions as a primary, leaders as a secondary. That's quite typical with, say, I don't know, Orlocks or Escher, with the sort of acrobatic skills only being available for the Death Maidens, etc., etc. So very similar to the other gangs in terms of the way the skills are structured there. The leader is more of a generalist and the champions are more specialist by the looks of it. These guys prefer to work at range and have access to, well, I've already read that bit, but it looks like the stats aren't here, but it looks like they've probably got better shooting stats than they have close combat stats by the sounds of it. I wonder if they will get shooting access as well as Wisdom of the Ancients. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Then there are the Drillkin, the rank and file gangers who make up the bulk of any prospecting party, and your diggers, your greenhorn Jews with barely 4 or 5 decades behind them. So quite funny that the Jews are, you know, 50 years old. The eagerness of youth, it says. As with all squats, these fighters have a doughty toughness 4. So toughness 4 is confirmed across the board as we would have thought. However, we haven't seen the other stats. We don't know what the other stats are going to be, and we can't necessarily just go after what the leaders got in the picture. But I would hazard a guess that they're probably going to give the whole lot movement 4 across the board instead of movement 3. Because movement 3 is just terrible. It really is terrible, especially on 3D terrain with stuff to climb up and whatnot. It's just impossible to work out. So I would say that the cool stat's probably going to be quite high, and as would willpower and intelligence and stuff too, because squats are certainly one of the more intelligent races in the sort of 40k universe. So yeah, and toughness 4, of course, is pretty much a given. I think the rest of their stats will be fairly average, and their initiative will probably be fairly low. So there you go. And the last thing we're going to look at here, the last picture, is the Vartijan Exo Driller. This guy is the Brute. So they've basically released the whole thing on his stats, but they haven't told you exactly what his weapons are. Just going through the blurb here though, it says, finally there's the small matter of the Vartijan Exo Driller, a majestic brute weighing in at a cool 250 credits. This mobile weapons platform is equipped with a sensor suite to improve visibility out in the wastes, a seismic crusher for pounding rocks and enemies to dust, and offers a choice of heavy flamer or heavy bolter. Of course, we know what heavy flamers and heavy bolters do. And heavy flamers, all of a sudden, when you've got them on a gun platform that can probably move and shoot, makes them incredibly powerful. However, they are terrible normally without a suspensor, of course. Heavy bolters, absolute fan favorite. Everybody loves heavy bolters. So, but we'll see what the stats for this guy give you. It does say that he's a gun platform, so we'll have a look at his stats just now. So we've got a movement of 4, so the same as your squat leader there. A weapon skill of 4+, which is you know, average, but we've got a ballistic skill of 3+ there. So I would say that this guy is probably better equipped with the heavy bolter off the top of my head, because well, you've got better ballistic skill than you have weapon skill, so why not? Of course, the heavy flamer is a template weapon, so we don't need to worry about ballistic skill there, but having a decent ballistic skill on a brute is kind of interesting. Most brutes are usually more geared towards combat, I would say, on the whole. This guy has a strength of 4, so he's not the strongest out of all the brutes, certainly, but he's no slouch. He's got a toughness of 5, which is very nice. 3 wounds, which is quite typical for any brute. An initiative of a 5 up, which is fairly terrible, but also quite typical for a brute. Only 2 attacks though, so certainly, again, I'm just highlighting that this guy is not geared for close combat generally, with only 2 attacks and a weapon skill of 4+. You know, he's probably going to be primarily a shooter, but if anyone gets close enough, you can mulch them with your big driller claw. He's then got a leadership of 7+, a cool of 6+, which is good, a willpower of 6+, also good, and an intelligence of an average 7+ there as well. So that is your Vartijan Exo Driller. Again, heavy flame or a heavy bolter choice there. I like the sound of the heavy bolter more myself. But if your squats have got loads of bolt gun weapons already, then maybe go with the heavy flamer just for something different. Of course, these are brutes. Not everybody uses brutes, so you know, that's something that to think about later on in a campaign, maybe, because they are an expensive luxury. But just to recap on everything, I think I'm really excited about the squats in general. I like the fact that they seem to have their own sort of play style already sort of sorted out, and I'm glad that Games Workshop have sort of given them a really strong direction. I'm really excited to see the new Wisdom of the Ancients skill tree. I'd love to see what this holds for the gang. And I think you're looking at a hybrid play style, somewhere between Goliath with your high toughness and your low movement, Orlok with your rapid fire short to mid-range weapons, and Van Saar just by being shooty. So it looks like you've got a hybrid of those 3 gangs there, and the new skills are really going to dictate exactly how this gang performs with those champions as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about playing these guys, and I'm glad that they're going to be bringing something different to the table, be it whether it's in the Ash Wastes setting, and I imagine they'll get their own vehicles too, or indeed whether it's within Necromunda, which is my preferred setting personally. So I'm looking forward to actually playing these guys in the Underhive before I get out onto the Ash Wastes. But the book is going to be out imminently, hopefully, and that's going to have the full and expanded rules for your Ash Waste Men as well. I like to call them Ash Waste Men just because it's kind of funny. But I'm looking forward to seeing how those guys are. I haven't got Ash Wastes box set at all because I just don't think it's worth it personally. It doesn't look like something I'd want to invest in. I'm interested by the rules and stuff, and I've read the rules and I have access to the rules for the Ash Wastes, and we'll probably roll that into our campaign in some sort of way of hybridizing regular Underhive combat and Ash Wastes stuff into a campaign mechanic. But I'm not that bothered about vehicles personally. I could take them or leave them. But I am still intrigued by this book, and I'll definitely be buying this book and giving some sort of review on it at some point soon as well. So anyway, I hope this video was informative, and I'm sure you've got some ideas about it already. But start the discussion. I'd like to see some comments below on what you think and what you're excited about and what you're not sure about this squat prospector gang that you've seen already. Your worries, your concerns. Yeah, I'd really like to know. Of course, there's no actual me in this video because it's too freezing in the garage, so I'm actually in the bedroom at the moment doing this. And plus, some troll commented on one of my videos a little while ago saying that videos of me talking are really, really boring. So I took that to heart. I know I shouldn't, but he was like, why don't you bring up the pictures of stuff instead of just your face? So maybe he just doesn't like how I look. That's fine. So I can do more videos like this if you prefer. It'd be actually quite nice to know what you do prefer. I'll promise not to get offended if you don't want to see my ugly mug. That's absolutely fine. But anyway, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment below and get involved in the discussion here. Let's get the community behind this fantastic looking new release for the squat prospectors. Anyway, that's enough for me for now. I'm going to be back very soon with another video on my guide to Genestealer cults. So stay tuned for that one. Peace out.